Preface. I have written this book with great sacrifice, lying in bed, unable to stand or to sit up. But seeing the need to warn humanity of the coming catastrophe, I made a great effort. I dedicate this message to humanity as a last resort because there is nothing else to do. VM Rabolu, Hercolubus, or Red Planet. Humanity is spellbound by the predictions of those we falsely call scientists, who do nothing but fill humanity with lies and distort the truth. We're going to talk about Hercolubus, or Red Planet, which is approaching Earth. According to some accounts, scientists have even calculated its weight, and they say it is so many tons and has a certain diameter as if it were a child's toy. But this is not the case. Hercolubus, or Red Planet, is 5 or 6 times larger than Jupiter. It is a gigantic mass which cannot be stopped or deflected. The Earth's inhabitants regard it as a toy, but in fact it is the beginning of the end for the planet Earth. It is already here. The other worlds of our solar system know this, and are making every effort to help us avoid this catastrophe. However, nobody will be able to stop it. This is the punishment we deserve, to put an end to so much evil. I state that Hercolubus is a creation like our world. It is inhabited by its own humanity, which is as perverse as our own. Each planet, each world, has its own humanity. Scientists should not believe that they can attack and disintegrate Hercolubus. Its inhabitants also have weapons, which can retaliate and wipe us out instantly. If they are attacked, they will defend themselves, and the end will come much more quickly. Within the coming and going of life, everything returns to its beginning or to its end. The same thing happened with less intensity on the continent of Atlantis. However, in this return of events, our planet will not be able to bear the other planet passing very close without blowing to pieces. This is what the scientists are unaware of because they believe themselves to be very powerful with their weapons, capable of destroying this giant planet. They are very mistaken. What is going to happen in a short time is the destruction of the famous Tower of Babel that they have built. They have already finished it, and the negative consequences are now coming for the whole of humanity. Scientists can deny this with their theories, as they are doing now and have done before, distorting the truth because of pride, conceit, and ambition for power. They will laugh like braying donkeys, because they are not able to measure the consequences of what they have done. They have riddled the planet with nuclear bombs in order to control it without considering that God and his justice exists and will crush everything. You cannot talk to beasts about God because they bray and deny him through their actions. They believe they are gods, and they are not. The false so-called powers that exist today will be devastated economically and morally. Money will disappear within a very short time. Hunger and poverty will put an end to them. They will not be able to endure a single jolt, and they will remain paralyzed by fear and terror. Then they will truly realize that divine justice exists to punish evil. At present, the whole world is busy looking for money at all costs. This is precisely what happened in Atlantis, where the god of that time was money. Religions portrayed it as a golden calf. Likewise, in this age, money is the god, and this is totally wrong. The rich who boast so much about power now will be the most unfortunate, because having large sums of money will gain them nothing when there is no one to sell to or buy from. They will fall to their knees and cry, begging for a plate of food, howling like dogs. When Hercolubus comes closer to the Earth and aligns with the sun, deadly epidemics will begin to spread over the entire planet. Neither doctors nor official science will know what sort of illnesses they are or how to cure them. They will be powerless in the face of the epidemics. life will begin to disappear from our planet. At that point, humanity will have to eat the corpses of its fellow people because of the overwhelming hunger and unbearable heat. The moment of tragedy and darkness will come. Tremors, earthquakes, and tidal waves. Human beings will become mentally unbalanced because they will not be able to eat or sleep. In the face of danger, they will throw themselves over the precipice en masse. Completely mad, this race will disappear. No life will be left on the planet, and the Earth will sink into the ocean. This is because humanity has reached such a high level of depravity that now it even wants to pass on this evil to other planets. But this will not be allowed. Scientists and the whole world are full of panic even before the destruction has started. Yet, no one on Earth has the fear of God within. They believe that they are lords and masters of life, and that they are powerful. However, now they are going to see that there is indeed a divine justice that judges us according to our deeds. What I am affirming in this book is a prophecy that will be fulfilled very shortly because I am certain about the end of the planet. I know it. I am not frightening, but warning, because I am distressed about this poor humanity. These events will not be long in coming, and there is no time to waste with illusory things. Nuclear tests and the ocean. We are in a blind alley. We have already spoken about Hercolubus in a rather superficial way without going into much detail so as not to scare or alarm people. We are going to see another fatal and destructive danger which no one will be able to stop. The nuclear tests in the ocean. There are large, very deep cracks along the seabed which are already making contact with the fire within the Earth. This is happening precisely because of nuclear tests that the scientists and powers they believe themselves to be powers are carrying out. They do not measure the consequences of the atrocities they have committed and continue committing against the planet and against humanity. The fire within the Earth has already started to make contact with the water, and cyclones have started to appear. North Americans call it the El Niño phenomenon. It is not El Niño. It is the contact between the fire within the Earth and the water, and this is spreading in the ocean. As cracks develop, tidal waves, earthquakes, and frightening occurrences in water and on land will take place. There will not be a single coastal town that will not be devastated. Our planet will begin sinking into the ocean because the Earth's axis has already been shifted due to all the tests that are being carried out. The Earth's axis has already shifted from its position, and through tremors, earthquakes, and tidal waves, it will become completely loose, and sinking will take place. Do not imagine, dear reader, that the planet will sink suddenly. This will be a long, slow, distressing, and painful process through which humanity will have to go. It will sink piece by piece into the ocean until it reaches its end. Scientists do not measure the atrocities they have committed against creation. They will be victims of their own inventions. There are already monsters, wild beasts on the seabed which have been feeding on nuclear energy. The increase in the temperature of the water will make them come out and seek refuge. They will reach the coastal towns and devastate everything. Houses, buildings, ships, and people. These wild beasts, having developed from nuclear energy, are nuclear. Thus, three-dimensional bullets will do nothing but make them more furious. What I'm saying here will happen shortly, and it does not stop there. The boiling of the seawater caused by the Earth's fire will cause an immense steam to rise. Planes will not be able to fly, and ships will not be able to navigate. This steam will cloud the sun. Total darkness will come, and life on our planet will come to an end. I advise you, dear reader, not to leave wherever you are, because there is nowhere to go. Scientists ignore all these consequences that they have provoked with their nuclear explosions and their tests in the ocean. Therefore, no matter how scientific they are ignorant, wild beasts who do not care that they have invented devices to destroy humanity and themselves. Nuclear energy has contaminated the whole sea and the animals living in it. It stands to reason that when we eat fish and other seafoods, we are contaminating our bodies. It is better not to eat them. The sea breathes in and out because it is a living body. When exhaling, it contaminates the oxygen that we breathe and all the vegetation. Changes in the human organism will occur, and monstrous children will be born caused by this general contamination, alarming the whole world. When looking at our planet from other superior dimensions, you can see it has already disappeared. What we can see is a yellow-colored mud hole, as if you were boiling a bit of soil with water in a pot. You see no life at all of any kind, plant, animal, or human. Everything is dead. All that is needed is for this to crystallize in the third dimension, or the physical world, so that it begins to vanish from the face of the earth, as everything comes from above to below. The scientists and the intellectuals will laugh at the top of their voices like braying donkeys at what I'm saying here. But when the moment comes, they will be the most cowardly. They will cry without knowing what to do or where to go. Well, what do we expect from humanity? We expect its end. Those who falsely call themselves scientists are certainly scientists, but destructive, not constructive ones. They are using science to destroy everything that has life. I am asking the scientists, the ones who are braying so loudly, what formula can you find to avoid these problems that are threatening to destroy humanity and this planet? There is no formula other than to await the catastrophe. Or if you have an effective formula, could you let us know what it is? Extraterrestrials. I have seen films and magazines by North Americans trying to block out the light of the sun with one finger, but they are mistaken. They will not blur my vision, and still less will they make me believe in their stupid theories and base imaginings, as they are doing with humanity. Just as they are doing with Hercolubus, which is rapidly approaching Earth, by playing it down, in that they even dare to state its weight and mass. So they have done with extraterrestrials, by distorting them as gorillas or animals. This is a great lie. 100% false, because the inhabitants of other planets in our solar system and galaxy are superior humans and wise beings. I have had contact with extraterrestrials many times. I have been to Venus and Mars by consciously traveling in my astral body and can bear witness to these marvelous inhabitants. I cannot find words to describe their wisdom, their culture, and the angelic life that they live. Life on Venus. The Venusians have perfect bodies. A wide or broad forehead, blue eyes, straight nose, blonde hair, and an astonishing intelligence. They are more or less between 1.3 and 1.4 meters tall. Nobody is taller or shorter. There are no potbellies, and you do not see deformed people. Everybody has an angelic figure. There is perfection in men and women because it is a planet with an ascendant, superior humanity. There are no monsters like those you can see here. They wear wide belts full of red, blue, and yellow buttons all around that flash like a lighthouse. If they're in danger, they press a master switch, like a buckle on a belt. Just by pressing it, a circle of fire is formed, which can destroy a bullet and everything that enters its vicinity. I also found out about a pocket manual weapon, the size of a cigarette pack. Just by pressing a button on the gadget, they could blow up a hill, however big it might be, and make it disappear. What would an inhabitant of the Earth do with a weapon like this? When you think of asking them a question, they answer without you needing to move your lips. in whichever language it may be, as they speak all languages perfectly. They have the gift of languages. When you are talking with a Venusian, the others carry on with their work and continue about their business without stopping. They are not like us, who crowd around and criticize a person who has a physical defect. I looked at myself on Venus, compared my shape with theirs, and felt ashamed. I looked like a gorilla. However, nobody is struck by that. Everybody passes by with no curiosity or surprise. It is an unheard of culture. Now I'm going to describe their earth, nature, way of life, and how they work. The soil on Venus is not compact or heavy like ours, but light and soft. As for stones, we might imagine them to be like those on our planet, but they are not. There are all sorts of stones, big and small, but they do not have the same weight as they would here. They are not dense. You could lift a stone that would weigh several pounds here, and there it weighs just ounces, almost nothing, because it is light and made from soft materials. The trees are not huge. The vegetation has no thorns, and there are no vines in the mountains blocking the way. You can make your way through one of those mountains without necessarily taking a machete or a knife, because there is nothing to cut. There is no danger from anywhere. Fruit trees are even planted on the flat roofs of houses in pots and with good fertilized soil, so that they bear fruit. There, nobody takes a piece of fruit simply because they feel like doing so, but they wait until it is ripe and in season. They harvest with a device, without touching the fruit with their hands, and it goes through tubes to revolving tanks of very pure water where it goes through a special cleaning process. After the fruit has been cleaned, it goes through another tube to machines where it is pulverized. From there it goes to another container where more vitamins are added. Not chemical vitamins, but natural ones, and then it is sealed hermetically. This is one of their foods. Regarding the sea, people will tend to compare ours with theirs. But in fact, their sea is perfectly blue, like a calm lagoon. There is no movement in any direction, or waves, so that you can see into the depths without any artificial device. Fish are extremely tame. They are not afraid of anyone. There are areas in the sea where fish are fed with lots of vitamins. When they need to eat some, they look to see which ones are the biggest, or which ones they want to use. They carefully lay out a net without damaging or frightening the other fish, and then take them out and gut them. Next, by means of some pulleys, the fish go into a tank with very pure water circulating, and they go through a special cleaning. This happens without handling them. From there, they go to machines where the fish are pulverized and more natural vitamins are added. This is another of their foods. Same is done with vegetables. Nobody eats meat of any kind there. There are places where they go and sit at a table, let us say, like restaurants, so that the reader understands better. Since all the inhabitants read thoughts, it is not necessary to order the dish you would like to have. The dish arrives without you moving your lips. They do not express thanks or other similar things that we do here. Once you have eaten, you stand up from the table, and you do not have to ask how much it costs, how much you owe, or say thanks, because everyone expresses thanks with a movement of the head. The same thing happens with the clothes shops. When they want to change, they go into a shop and immediately receive clothes and shoes. Right there, they can press a switch on the wall, and a dark room forms where they can change and wash if they like. By pressing another switch, a jet of water flows out. Afterwards, they hand over the clothing they have just removed so that it can be cleaned specially. There are no differences in clothes or shoes. They are standard for everybody. Nobody owns a house there. When a Venusian couple is tired or wants to rest, they press a switch on a house or a building where a dark room is formed. They press another switch and a bed appears. There is no need to say that is mine. Rather, it belongs to whoever needs it without asking anybody for permission. The streets on Venus are not like ours. There, the avenues move like a conveyor belt. There are no accidents of any kind because everything is orderly. The vehicles are very beautiful, richly decorated platforms. They depart, reach their destination, and the platform descends with all the people on it. It is not the people who get down, but the platform that lowers. Then another platform goes up, which is already loaded with other people, ready to continue its journey. The streets are powered with solar energy, as is every machine. Oil and petrol are not used, nor is anything that causes pollution. For that reason, there is no pollution. To build houses or buildings, they do not go up as we do here, where you have to climb several meters high to work. Everybody works from the ground. The roof of the building is the first thing they assemble. Then they lift this structure by means of rollers and continue building the next floor. When it is ready, they lift it again with the rollers and so on according to the number of floors they want to build, without risking accidents. Venusian men and women work 2 hours daily, all at their profession. Money does not exist there, and nobody owns anything. Everybody has the right to everything, and works for everyone. There is no Mr. So-and-so or Sir So-and-so because there is equality. The law is to work 2 hours daily so that hunger and poverty do not exist. By using their powers and faculties, they control nature. When they choose, they make it rain. They make the sun shine or they cloud over the sky. It is not as it is with us, where we are under nature's power. There are no permits, like I need permission to travel to another planet. No, there. Every Venusian can take a spaceship from the station where they are kept, to travel where they wish, be it to another planet or other galaxies, without asking anybody. There is total freedom with the proviso that when they return, they leave the spaceship where they found it, so that someone else can use it. There are no borders and no red tape. I can tell you that on Venus, there are no families like on our planet. There are only couples. They do not have either churches or priests to marry them. They unite with their twin souls, or their better halves, as they are called, who complement all human beings. There are no religions of any kind. The religion is the mutual respect towards life and others. There is no fornication as there is here, because Earth's inhabitants are worse than beasts. There they use what Gnosis teaches, scientific chastity or transmutation of the energies. That is why they prolong their lives as they wish, because the energy is one's own life. By contrast, on our planet, young people look old because of fornication. When you shake hands with them, you feel an electrical current that shakes you as if you were receiving energy because they are full of energy. They are not fornicators as we are here. That energy is the energy of scientific chastity. They unite sexually to have children without fornication. One sperm that escapes is enough to create a physical body for a soul who wants to come to learn. There is no sexual degeneration as there is here, where priests are even marrying homosexuals. Homosexuality does not exist there. They are real men and real women. Sexual outrages are only seen on our planet, because on the other planets, they know how to reproduce without falling into fornication. When a child is born, he is transferred to a clinic with full care where he gets special food until he is old enough to study. When he is old enough to begin his education, he goes to a school, which is a huge workshop, where he learns all the essentials he needs to know through practice. In order to study the vocation that this soul carries within, the directors of those schools teach him how to use machinery and let him develop his own ideas. When a child has an idea to produce something, the teachers help the child to complete it until he makes the device he wants. They do so one by one with the whole of humanity, so on Venus, nobody is ignorant and everyone is prepared for the material and the spiritual ascent. life on Mars. Life on Mars is exactly the same as on Venus. There is freedom in everything. The Martians can move to any place on the planet without needing papers or passports or anything like that, and without needing anyone's permission. Wherever they go, there is an opportunity to eat, sleep, and have a change of clothes. Everywhere on Mars, wherever they may be, they find everything they need, because there are no borders but complete freedom. It is exactly the same way on the other planets in our solar system. Martians have stronger bodies than Venusians, visibly tougher, for they belong to the ray of strength. On Mars, everybody wears a soldier's uniform, shield, helmet, and suit of armor. All these war clothes are made of a material similar to bronze. They stand out because they are warriors to the core, but not warriors as we would call here. There are no wars amongst them or with the other planets. Their war is against evil, to defeat evil, not against one other. I can tell you that on those planets, nobody works using brute force as we do in our world. Nobody sweats. They do not exhaust themselves because there the machines do the work. They are all run by solar energy. Their work is to guide or operate the machines, relieving each other in shifts. Everything functions through their wisdom. The extraterrestrials are so powerful that they are born, grow up, and die at will. When they are tired of having a physical body for so many years and want to change, they die and are laid in a hollow exactly their size, which is in a wall. A door is closed and a button is pressed. They become ashes in a matter of minutes. If they were not quite dead, then the button does not work, and they are taken out to die completely. There are no cemeteries. The ashes are scattered by a tree or buried. Nobody cries because of a person's death. Death for them is change of clothes. Nothing else. In those worlds, there is no involution in plants, animals, humans, or planets. Everything is ascending. By contrast, here we are descending with everything, including the planet, as the facts prove. There are no plagues there like flies, gnats, or mosquitoes, which are harmful to health. Nor is there the threat of reptiles. On Mars and on the other planets, it is the law to respect each other, life and everything. They respect the free will of each person. It is not the same as the inhabitants of the Earth, who want to control the world purely by means of bullets and threats. The North Americans are very mistaken in the films they release and magazines they publish. Thus, I have described Mars a little to show the North Americans that they do not know anything about life on other worlds, as they deny the existence of life on Mars and other planets. I do not use telescopes or anything artificial to know about the universe. I know how to operate my inner bodies with complete will and consciousness. Gnosis gave me the keys. I put into practice what I was taught. And the result was this: knowing, for he who knows has knowledge. He who does not have knowledge talks of what he does not know. Gnosis in practice is beyond comparison. It overcomes all obstacles and barriers that may appear. Interplanetary spaceships. Let us talk a little about interplanetary spaceships. Scientists ignore them or call them into question, thus leading humanity to doubt the existence of such ships. All interplanetary spaceships move with solar energy. They are made from a material which does not exist here and which is resistant to bullets and to everything. They are made in one piece and hatches. They have two horizontal pipes made of a light material very similar to aluminium, but shinier and stronger, which does not exist on this planet. These pipes run through the spacecraft from the front to the rear. At the front, solar energy enters, and at the back, the burned energy comes out. These are the fiery tails that the ships leave behind as they fly. Not all of them are round, as there is also a long, narrow model in the shape of a cigar, which can transport hundreds of people. Therefore, not all of them have the same shape and size. These are the transport vehicles of other planets. The crews of these spaceships communicate with each other telepathically, without telephones, television, or using anything like that. They have all their faculties awakened. Any of those inhabitants of the Earth who boast so loudly, such as the Americans and the other powers, who believe themselves to be the only ones with knowledge, what are those poor, ignorant people doing without really knowing the wonders that exist on other planets? The interplanetary spaceships of the extraterrestrials are ready and prepared to take off and to rescue all those people who work according to the formula that is given in this book. They know, so it is not necessary to call them because they know us inside out. When the time comes, the rescue will take place in these ships. There are very few who will succeed, and we can count them on our fingers. This is because nobody wants to work, and instead they intellectualize everything. The mind produces theories, as it is the ego itself bringing them out. What we need here is action, to begin once and for all the work we have to do. I'm reporting this so that everybody can discover the truth once and for all. We are not the only inhabitants of our solar system and our galaxy. Instead, we are the lowest ones. The countries that believe they are great powers think they know everything. But they are proving just the opposite with their actions, through the atrocities they are carrying out against themselves and others. The quality of our humanity is proven. I do not swallow those stories that they are inventing because I know for sure. I am writing this book so that humanity can see how the Americans and scientists have fooled them with sheer lies and threats. I will always stand by what I am saying. And if I have to die to uphold the truth, I will die the death. This chapter is given the esoteric title, The Death, because anyone who begins to disintegrate his defects starts to leave the circle in which the whole of humanity sits. So when he is asked to commit a misdeed, others say he is useless, he might as well be dead, because he does not follow the rest of humanity. Every human being carries a divine spark within called the soul, Buddhata, or essence. Well, it has various names, but in reality, it is a divine spark that motivates us and gives us strength to begin spiritual work, such as that I am teaching you here. This essence or soul is trapped in all our wickedness, defects, or psychological selves, which are called esoterically ego. They do not allow the essence to express itself freely because it is they who take over the voice and command of a person. But through the work of the disintegration of the defects, the essence grows, becomes stronger, and manifests itself with more clarity and with more strength. It is gradually transformed into soul. I will give you an example. This tree is supported by its main roots. They do not feed it, but only support its weight and hold it up against the wind so that it does not fall down or collapse. Its tiny roots are the ones that spread along the surface of the soil and absorb sap to nourish it. Such is our ego, and that of humanity. The thick roots which hold up the tree symbolize the main defects like lust, revenge, anger, pride, and many others. And the small roots represent the details, those tiny manifestations that belong to such and such a defect, which we do not see as a defect, but in fact, they nourish it. The ego is fed by all these tiny, small details, of which we have a large number. We must begin to observe ourselves, to see the thousands and thousands of negative details that we have, which sustain the trunk. Everybody who wants to be saved from the coming disaster needs to act in this way, to get down to taking the nourishment away from the tree, which are the tiny small roots. Negative details like bad thoughts, hatred, envy we feel towards other people, ambition, greed. pinching coins and insignificant things, telling lies, speaking while full of pride. Well, all these things, which are basically negative, are what we must start to disintegrate in a serious way. There is another divine spark within us, called the Divine Mother. Her task is to disintegrate the defects with a spear she has. However small the detail may be, you need to ask your inner Divine Mother, "My mother, pull this defect out of me and disintegrate it with your spear." She will do so because it is her task to help us in this manner so that we can liberate ourselves. In this way, the tree will stop growing. Instead, it will get undernourished, and it will wilt. What I am teaching here is to be put into practice, into action. Wherever you go, whether you are working or whatever you are doing, you need to pay attention to the mind, the heart, and the sexual center. These are the three centers where every defect manifests itself. When an element is manifesting through any one of these three centers, the petition to the Divine Mother must follow immediately so that she can disintegrate it. Through this work of the death of the ego that I'm explaining, we gain scientific chastity and we learn to love humanity. Anyone who does not work upon the disintegration of the defects can never reach chastity and can never reach the point of feeling love for others because he does not love himself. The disintegration of the defects and the astral projection are the only formulas we have to be rescued. Astral projection. Dear reader, as we speak about the astral, I want to ask you whether you have dreamed about people who passed away years ago, about places and people you do not know physically. This is what people normally call dreams. Last night I dreamt such a thing. However, nobody stops to think about why they have dreamed about other regions or places while the physical body was resting in bed. This is the astral plane, or fifth dimension, where neither weight nor distances exist, and to which the astral body belongs. This is a body exactly like the physical, but made of energy, which moves at great speed like a thought, and is able to investigate anything we like in the universe. In the fifth dimension, we move and explore. And we know what the angels, the Virgin, and all the hierarchies are. They move, speak, and teach a wisdom that is not written in books and is beyond the human mind. When you want to know for yourself what it is that people call occultism, the fifth dimension is where you can know it, and then it stops being occult. The important thing is not to leave the physical body unconsciously asleep, but to leave it consciously and move completely at will. My dearest reader, if you are going to put into practice the astral projection, I will give you mantras that I have used, and I know they give positive results. A mantra is a magic word that allows us to leave the physical body and return to it, fully conscious. You lie down, relax your body, and say the magic word 3 or 5 times verbally. Then you continue by repeating it mentally. When you feel that a current is running through your whole body from your feet to your head, as if you were losing strength, and you feel a lethargy so that you do not want to move, you must rise with extreme care without disturbance. Get up, do a little jump, and at once you will float. Do not be afraid, surprised, or overjoyed when you see that you are floating with the astral body. All human beings do it, and nothing has happened to them. It is only that they leave unconsciously and do not act at will. We all have our divine spirit, called the Father. As soon as you see that you are floating in the air, say, "My Father, take me to the Gnostic Church," or to wherever you want to go or wish to know, and he will take you there immediately, as fast as lightning. There you will receive the teachings directly from the hierarchies. In this way, you are beginning to gain the true wisdom, which is neither written in books nor taught in universities or anywhere. Hopefully, you will do it every night. Mantra La Ra Es. This mantra is pronounced so that the sound of each syllable is prolonged. La.
Another mantra for projecting with the astral body is Faran. I am going to give you another key to awaken consciousness in the higher dimensions. Everything we see here around us, houses, people, cars, has a double, which is the astral. If you want to discern where you are, whether you are in the physical or in the astral, look at everything that is around you, people, houses, the place, and ask yourself the question, why am I seeing this or that with wonder? Am I in the astral body or in the physical body? And you take a little jump with the intention of floating. It is not necessary for you to jump a whole meter. Just by lifting yourself a few centimeters from the ground, you already know whether you are there physically or not. If you do not float, it is because you are in the physical, but if you float, it is because you are in the astral body. Then, when you notice that you are floating, you need to ask your inner father immediately to take you to the Gnostic church, or to a place you would like to know about. Do it daily, as often as you can do it during the day, while you are working or wherever you are, and you will see the results. I stand by what I have written in this book, because I know it to be true. I'm sure about what I say because I have investigated thoroughly with my astral body, which allows me to know about everything in great detail. Concluding remarks. I am giving these formulas to humanity because those who really want to be saved from the forthcoming catastrophe must start immediately to disintegrate the psychological self. That means all our defects, which number thousands. They need to prepare themselves so that at the time of the rescue, they are taken to a safe place where nothing will happen to them, and where they can continue working on themselves until they reach liberation. These people will manage to escape the disaster. The divine justice describes this humanity as the lost harvest. That means that nothing can be done. The forthcoming destruction is happening because the gods can do nothing more for us. Therefore, nobody will surprise the hierarchies. Everything is planned. Dear reader, I am speaking very clearly so that you understand the need to start working seriously. Whoever is working will be rescued from the danger. This is not for you to make up theories or hold discussions, but to experience the true teaching that I am giving in this book. We can resort to nothing else. I'm not a fearmonger. I'm a human being warning of what is to come and what will happen. What I'm saying to you is very serious. Whoever is afraid of God begins to work against the defects which are separating us from the Father. I could write more about the esoteric part. However, I do not want to take your time, but rather to fight for each one to carry out this work that I am teaching. This is the way to follow, and I do not want anyone to get lost.